Hey everyone, John here from All Miniatures Great and Small, and today we're going to be talking about the Bulge German book. We're going to be taking a unit focus and looking at the Tiger II. Now before we get into the Tiger II, I would like to ask those people who aren't subscribers to please consider clicking that like and subscribe button to help out the channel. We always appreciate it. YouTube's also enabled super thanks for people wanting to do donations directly into the comments section, and it's a great way to let us know what content is are you guys wanting to see more of. So anyway, consider that, and please do consider giving us a like and subscribe. Now on to the Tiger II tank. So people have been waiting for this tank for a long time during version 4. It has finally arrived in the German Bulge book. Now I will be doing several different videos covering the German Bulge book, but I wanted to break up the release in a little bit more bite-sized videos. So in this video we're going to be talking about the Tiger II tank in German Bulge. So what is a Tiger II? It is a beast of a tank in the game. In the German Bulge book, we get basically two versions of the Tiger II. We're going to get the normal Tiger II, and we're going to get the SS version of the Tiger II. So we have two separate versions, and each one is interesting, and I think is going to have their own application in the game. So let's talk a little bit about the hard stats of the mighty Tiger II. So the front armor is 16. That is right, it is 16. Side armor 8, top armor 2. So on the sides and top, it's no better armored than a regular Tiger, a Tiger 1. And I say that no better, the regular side and top armor of a Tiger is very impressive. Side armor 8, top armor 2 renders it impervious to most artillery, and side armor 8 really removes the threat of light tanks. Even normal things like vanilla Shermans would have to be very lucky to score a penetrating hit on the side. You're going to have to go with higher AT. But the big thing is that front armor 16, and we'll talk a little bit about more about that in a minute. Then stat-wise, tactical, it's still 10-inch tactical, so it's still not slow compared to the other Tiger. Has a terrain dash of 12, cross country of 16, and a road dash of 18. So under the best circumstances, you're moving 18 inches with, maybe you get a follow me or a blitz in there as well. It has a cross value of 3+, which is pretty impressive. I mean, it's got wide tracks, but it's also an incredibly heavy vehicle. So 3+ is interesting. And it's no worse than, like a Panzer IV or, a vehicle like that. The weapons are a 8.8 centimeter long barrel gun. So it has a halted rate of fire of 2, a moving rate of fire of 1, anti-tank is 17, and 3+ firepower. Really, some of the stats on this tank are rivaling some units in Team Yankee as far as how potent they are. So that is anti-tank 17, which is just amazing. So again, we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get further into the overview. So otherwise, we have our I should mention the machine guns. It has 4 machine gun shots, whether halted or moving, so pretty standard there, just 4 machine gun shots. Okay, again, there are 2 ways you can take the Tiger II Tank Company. You can take it in the 506th Heavy Tank Battalion, or you could take it in the 501st SAS Heavy Tank Battalion. So both of these are in the Ardennes offensive portion of the book. So what's the difference between an SS King Tiger and a normal German Army King Tiger? Well, let's talk about it. The biggest difference is that the SS Tiger II is hit on a 3+. The normal German version is hit on a 4+. So it's easier to hit the SS version. As far as the soft scores go, the SS version has a motivation of 2+ and a trained skill of 4+. The regular German Army version of the Heavy Tiger II has a motivation of 4+. It does have a Tiger Last Stand of 2+, a Tiger Ace remount value of 3+, and a 3+ veteran skill. So what does that boil down to? Well, the SS Tigers are going to pass a lot more motivations. They're going to remount more reliably. They're going to stick around. Well, I guess the normal German one has a last stand of 2+ as well. So they're going to stick around about the same. But remounting is better for the SS. Anything that's using morale, motivation scores for special movement orders, for example, it's going to be better for the SS version. Now, as far as skill goes, well, that's clearly going to the regular German Army rather than SS, with a veteran skill of 3+ instead of 4+ for the SS. That just means that things like blitzing is going to be much easier for the German Army version as opposed to the SS version. Any special movement order that uses skill is going to have that issue. Now, there is something to point out, and that is a special rule that formation commanders have in SS Panzer divisions, and it's called Old Hand. And I'll just read the rule for you. We'll have it pop up at the screen as well. An Old Hand formation commander gives units from their formation whose unit leader is within 6 inches of the formation commander a tactics rating of 3+. So basically, this is a way around the poor skill rating of the SS Tiger II. If you have the company commander nearby, you can bump that to a tactics rating of 3+, so you're blitzing on a 3 instead of a 4. Okay, so that's the major differences in the individual tanks. How do we field them? Well, you've got 2 ways you can field them. You have the SS, which is the 501st SS Heavy Tank Battalion. That is a formation. And then you've got the 506th Heavy Tank Battalion. So the 506 has an HQ of a Tiger II. It can take one, or it has one mandatory Tiger II tank platoon. And then in the second mandatory platoon, it's got either Tiger IIs or Tigers. So you can go a little bit cheaper and add some Tigers into that core formation. There's another slot for even more Tiger IIs, which is optional, as well as a slot for some of the more common German AA, late war, the Wirbelwind, and Ostwind, or Ostwind. So you can take your heavy tanks, you can sprinkle in some normal Tigers, and of course some very valuable AA, which you might want because I can see bombs as being one of the big threats to Tiger IIs. Not necessarily a very effective threat, but sometimes, you know, something is better than nothing. Okay, the other way to take it is that SS tank company. So that's that 501st SS. That one is different in that you still take a Tiger II HQ, and you still have one mandatory Tiger II platoon, but your second mandatory platoon is either Tiger IIs or SS Panthers, which is interesting. So instead of mixing in Tigers, you can mix in Panthers. The third slot is gives you a lot more options. You could take either another platoon of Tiger IIs, late Panthers, Ardennes Fallschirmjäger platoon, armored SS Panzer Grenadiers, or just Panzer Grenadiers. So you can add in a infantry an infantry unit into this formation and be part of the core formation, which can help that unit stay around more. If you're buying expensive tanks, you might want to consider infantry as a component to your list to have something that's a little bit less expensive and maybe good at holding objectives while your Tiger IIs go run rampage on your enemy. And then the last slot for the SS is the AA, same options as the 506th Heavy Tank Battalion. So you can build some pretty interesting lists that look different. The SS version is going to be supported by Panthers, infantry in the corps formation, whereas the German Army one has just either Tigers or Tiger 2s. So you've got that. And then both of them have the same AA option. All right, let's talk a little bit about what a beast this tank is. Front armor 16. Let's talk about front armor 16 for a moment. There are very, very few weapons that can pierce front armor 16. And you can't really rely on it. So for example, when we're talking about the Bulge Americans, and I'm going to use the Bulge Americans as my examples here because that's the only other Bulge book that's out. I'm assuming there's a Bulge British book, but I have no news on that. But you run something like a Sherman 76 with its AT-12 gun, or AT-13 if you take the upgrade. Still, you're not going to penetrate the front of a Tiger 2. You'd have to go for a flank shot. Americans are kind of ideal for that with their stabilizer rule. If you can get to the side, you are putting in 2 shots, potentially into the side, hitting either on a 4 or 5, depending on whether it's an SS Tiger 2 or a Army Tiger, German Army Hare Tiger 2. But again, from the front, it's just going to bounce. Conversely, the massive gun on the Tiger 2 is just going to punch straight through the Sherman with no armor save possible, and that's bad news. Then you've got things like the Pershing, which has AT-14. The M36 Jackson tank destroyer also has AT-14. Again, that's just going to bounce right off the front of the Tiger 2. The sides are more vulnerable. AT-14 is great at shooting at side armor 8 because the German player needs to roll a 6 to equal. Otherwise, it's a pen. So it's going to be a pen or a potential bail almost every single time if you can get a flank shot. Again, returning fire, the massive gun, the AT-17, is just going to punch right through a Pershing, the same as if it was a Sherman, a Stuart. It doesn't really matter at that point. Armor is not stopping it. And next up, probably the most powerful single gun. Of course, there's only one of these ever built, and that is the Super Pershing. And the Super Pershing is sitting at I want to say it's AT-18. So even at its best, at short range, AT-18, the German player would have to roll a 1 to fail their armor save. And, relying on a German player rolling a 1 to fail his armor save is not the best way to win a battle. Counting on that happening is not a good idea, particularly when that AT-17 gun is firing back at the front armor 13 of the Super Pershing. The Super Pershing does have a chance to bounce it. Don't get me wrong, there's definitely a chance to bounce that AT-17 shot, but it's a much more likely chance to penetrate the Super Pershing than the King Tiger being penetrated. At long range, the Super Pershing cannot penetrate the King Tiger. The best he could hope for would be a bailout. And again, when you're talking about SS, they're getting back in on a 2+, or the German Army version on a 3+. So bailing these guys out really doesn't matter too much. They're almost always going to get back in, so you want to go for that kill. So I talk about this because if this is the case and most of your opponent cannot hurt you from the front, it really doesn't matter if they hit you or not. That's why I'm thinking the SS King Tigers might be a really interesting way to play. The SS Tiger 2 is cheaper than the Hare version, not by much, just by a couple of points, but it that lets you add extra things to your list. And if you're hit on a 3 or 4, it doesn't really matter if you're bouncing every single shot that hits you, and that's going to be the case almost all of the time with the King Tiger. And one of the cool reasons why I like it, the other reason is I think the King Tiger is just kind of an awesome looking tank. It's one of those iconic vehicles from World War II, and it's nice to see it on the field. So, I've been playing around with lists. I haven't come up with anything really that I'm happy with yet, but looking at maybe trying to run a company of SS King Tigers with some Panther and infantry support, and the Whirlwinds obviously in that core formation to provide air cover. And I think that could be a decent list. And then maybe add in something like Hetzers or more infantry for more defensive purposes. In that case, as a German player, you're going to start running into the issue of not having enough shots. Yeah, every shot you fire is AT-17, but if they are a swarm of 20 T-34s or Shermans coming at you, it doesn't matter if you kill 3 or 4 or 5, they're going to get to your flanks, and that's where you find yourself in a dangerous position. So positioning your Tigers to give you a great overwatch position is crucial, and with the Tiger 2 it's somewhat easy with that 48-inch range on the main gun, which is just stupendous. But there you go, guys. That's a look at my Tiger 2 unit overview. Now, this model here is one of the old metal ones. You can kind of metal and resin. I do know that they're coming out with a new plastic version. I don't have it. And to be honest, I'm not sure I'm going to buy it because I have several of the metal and resin ones and not sure if I need more. But I hope to get Tiger 2s onto the channel at some point so that you can see how they fare in version 4. Again, I'm excited to see them, either command them myself or battle against them. I think for a while there, the American Bulge lists were pretty good, and sometimes the German Bagration or D-Day lists kind of struggled against the late U.S. armor. But I think with the addition of the King Tiger, which we're overviewing here, you have the Jagd Tiger, you have the late Panthers coming in. There are so many higher armored units coming in that I think the Germans are going to German players are going to have a good time with this book. All right, there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, please do consider giving us a like and subscribe. Click that bell to receive notification when we release new content. Check out that Super Thanks feature. If you like our Flames of War content, check out our Patreon, where patrons get access to a Flames of War battle report every month exclusive to them. As always, thanks for watching, and keep on gaming.